She was only 13, sitting quietly in the first-class seat, when the flight attendant suddenly leaned over her and said in a sharp voice, "Stand up. Now, you don't belong here." The whole cabin turned to look, and the girl's hands began to shake as she clutched her backpack. Before she could speak, the attendant grabbed her ticket, tore it from her hand, and muttered, "I knew it, fake. I'm calling security." The girl whispered, "Ma'am, please don't," but the attendant had already stormed off, announcing loudly, "We have a situation up front. Possible fraud." Passengers stared, confused and uncomfortable, while the girl blinked fast, trying not to cry. She kept repeating softly, "My dad booked this seat," but no one listened. Minutes later, 2 airport cops rushed in and stood over her like she was some threat. One of them said, "Miss, you need to explain how you got this ticket." And the girl, voice barely audible, said the one line that made the officer pause, "My dad is on his way, and you really shouldn't talk to me like this." The plane's cabin buzzed with tension as the girl's father walked up the aisle. He was tall, in a crisp pilot uniform, his badge glinting under the cabin lights. The flight attendant froze mid-step, her face draining of color, as the girl whispered, "Dad." He didn't raise his voice, just calmly said, "What's going on here?" The attendant stammered, pointing at the girl, She wasn't supposed to be here." The father's eyes narrowed, and the air seemed to shift. "She wasn't supposed to be here," he repeated slowly, his voice low but carrying the weight of authority. "This is first class, sir," one of the cops said nervously. "We were just," the father's gaze flicked between the cop and the attendant. "You were just harassing my daughter," he said. "On my plane. On my airline." A whisper of fear ran through the cabin, passengers exchanged glances, sensing the power shift. Then he leaned down slightly toward his daughter and muttered, "Don't worry, I've got this." The flight attendant's fingers shook as she reached for her radio, realizing too late that she had no control anymore. The attendant fumbled with her words, trying to summon backup over the radio, but her voice cracked. "Sir, I was just following protocol." The father's eyes locked onto hers, calm but deadly serious. "Protocol," he repeated, his tone cutting through the cabin like a knife. "Harassing a 13-year-old girl because of her skin is your protocol." The passengers shifted uncomfortably, some whispering, some filming discreetly on their phones. The cops looked between the father and the attendant, uncertainty creeping into their faces. One muttered, "Sir, she really did, maybe it was a mistake." The father straightened, his uniform crisp, badge gleaming. "Mistake?" he asked, voice low but full of authority. "This isn't just a mistake. It's discrimination. And it stops now." He gestured for the cops to step aside. "Let's make it clear, no one on this flight gets to treat my daughter like that." The attendant's eyes widened, realizing she had crossed a line she couldn't walk back. A tense silence filled the cabin as everyone waited, wondering what would happen next. The father calmly signaled to the lead cop, who looked like he wasn't sure whether to obey or run. "Check her ID," he said, pointing at the girl. "She has every right to be here. This seat is hers. And you," his gaze swung back to the flight attendant, "you've just tried to humiliate a child in front of dozens of witnesses." The attendant's hands trembled as she clutched her clipboard. I didn't know," she stammered. "You didn't know," the father repeated sharply, his voice carrying across the cabin. "You didn't know that I am the regional operations director for this airline." The word, director, hit the cabin like thunder. Gasps spread among the passengers. Even the cops froze, realizing they had been backing the wrong side. "I suggest you apologize, or this story goes viral before we even land," he continued, calm but unyielding. The girl's eyes widened, a mix of relief and pride, as her dad's presence turned the entire situation upside down. The attendant swallowed hard, her face pale, and muttered, I'm sorry." The father didn't stop there. He turned slowly to the cabin, his voice steady and commanding. "Everyone here saw what just happened. This is not first-class service, it's harassment. And it ends now." A few passengers nodded, some whispered to each other, and a couple even started recording. The flight attendant fidgeted, realizing the full weight of the situation. "Sir, she began, but he held up a hand. "No excuses. You are on my airline. You answer to me, and you have humiliated a child in front of dozens of people. That's unacceptable." He reached down, gently brushing his daughter's hair back and whispered, "Don't worry, you're safe." Then, in a voice just loud enough for the cabin to hear, he said, "Let this be a lesson. Authority does not give anyone the right to abuse or discriminate. Not here, not anywhere." The attendant's mouth went dry, and even the cops shifted uncomfortably, realizing this wasn't just another complaint, they were witnessing accountability in real time. The girl exhaled quietly, feeling her heart finally slow, as the power in the room had completely shifted. By now, whispers had turned into murmurs across the cabin. The father stepped closer to the attendant, his expression calm but razor sharp. "You may think you run this plane, but authority isn't yours to misuse," he said. "I've flown thousands of hours, managed hundreds of staff, and ensured safety above all. And yet, you thought you could intimidate my daughter." The attendant's hands shook, her voice faltered. He cut her off with a slow shake of his head. "No. This stops now. You will apologize publicly, to her, to these passengers, and you will be retrained before you ever work another flight." The girl's eyes filled with awe, realizing her dad wasn't just a parent, he was a protector in the truest sense. Then he whispered, almost casually, "And yes, the security cameras are already reviewing your every move." The attendant froze mid-breath, realizing that not only had she been caught, but